And good evening. Welcome to another edition of Sports Corner. My name is Ralph Williams. It's another great Tuesday night, 8 p.m. We're here every night on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. Tonight we're not on Twitch. We're having some technical issues getting through to Twitch, so we will not be on Twitch tonight. But we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Tonight I have two special guests. Tonight, first, we're going to have a gentleman from California. His name is Mark HEFFERMAN. He's from Blog Talk Radio and the show Markman Madness. And then later on, we're going to have a reporter, Jerry DEPAOLA, from the Pittsburgh TRIB Live. He's going to come on and talk about Pitt football, the game against WVU, and a whole lot more. The game coming up against Tennessee, and and a whole lot more coming up. We have the Steeler 53-man roster, the practice squad details, and today's announcement that Franco Harris's jersey is going to be retired. So, Mark, welcome to the program. I have Mark on by telephone here. It's great to have you on, Mark.
Hey, Ralph, how are you? And congratulations to Franco Harris. He was quite a player. I'm a Ram fan, but that guy was amazing. Had great speed for a guy who was big and a very heady player for the Steelers back in the day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, now there's the big debate and the big squander going on now here, Mark, about, how come Terry Bradshaw's, how come his jersey isn't getting retired? Well, I believe it was announced today that that's going to happen down the road. Art II is the owner of the team now. His dad has passed and his grandfather has passed. Those were the old social customs of the Steelers. It looks like now they're going to start retiring some of these jerseys. So they're going to start off with Franco Harris in honor of the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. So that's going to be a great one.
Yeah, I heard he was really a great guy off the field. I remember thinking about him. He always seemed to make big plays, whether it was running the football or catching the ball out of the backfield. A very versatile player on an extremely, talented team. They had Hall of Famers and both offense and defense all over the place. You don't really have teams like that anymore because we have so many squads in the NFL, and the talent's kind of spread out. Now, the Rams were the winners last year. I don't think the Rams were necessarily a great team, but they were the champion. They were the survivor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely they were. You're from the West Coast, Mark, and you have your show on Blog Talk Radio. Talk about your show a little bit. It's called Markman Madness. I was on with you on Saturday. I like being on with you. I like how you do your show. Tell everyone what your show's about and how you do it.
Sure. It's normally on Mondays from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time on Blog Talk. Generally, the first part of the show, maybe the first 8 or 9 minutes, I'll talk right now about Major League Baseball and some of the pennant races. Of course, I'm delving into college football and pro football. And then I have my interview segment, which is normally from 10 minutes after the hour to 45 minutes into the show or 50 minutes, depending on how the interview goes. And the interviews can be with somebody like you, who's a podcast host, or at times I talk with former athletes, current or former coaches, sports writers, people in sports media, personalities, things like that. So I try to have a lot of fun with the program. I don't delve into too many serious issues. I try to have fun with it, and it's been great. We went on, I think, January of 2021. It seems like we're building listeners every month.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you told me there was 600 on Saturday. That was great.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I'm normally on Monday. I'm never on Saturday. Mm-hmm. So I was surprised that many people were listening. We had like 626 on Monday. Mm-hmm. That was a pleasant surprise, but you were great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's not so much me. I mean, the things I do the show every week, but a lot of times it has to do with who I have on the program and the camaraderie I have with that guest, and that will, boost up the audience, I believe. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm gaining notoriety in the national standpoint as well. I've been invited on a lot of shows and more, and that's great. And I invite a lot of you guys on from the national perspective too, because I want to give my viewers and listeners a little bit of a different perspective than what goes on in Pittsburgh. It's nice to know what goes on in Pittsburgh. But as I said on your show, there are a lot of sports podcasts out here, and we have a lot of stuff that talks about the Steelers. And I don't mind talking about the Steelers, but there's times I want to talk about different things. And I brought you on tonight as well to talk a little bit about the NFL. I know you follow, you're a Niners guy down there, and also
wait a minute, no, I'm an LA Rams guy.
Oh, you're a Rams guy.
The Niners.
I know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, I know
about them.
I know.
I respect them. I know about them. Great organization. They're like an intense rival, man.
Uh, um, what's your thoughts on the Rams this year? What do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to go back to the Super Bowl? Do they have a chance? What's your story?
Well, they have a chance to go back to the Super Bowl. As you know, nobody's won back-to-back since New England early 2000s, so the odds are against them. A lot of it depends on the elbow of Matthew Stafford. He says it's fine. He's ready to go, blah, blah, blah. As we talked about on the show, we talked off the air, the Rams are a very top-heavy team. You got Stafford, Cooper Kupp receiver, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. They got four guys that are outstanding players, make a lot of money. Their depth is not necessarily great, but they have a win-now mentality. Obviously, they have a chance, Ralph, but a lot of things have to go their way. I think their schedule is pretty tough this year. Health, obviously, is very important for them and for a lot of teams in the NFL. So their key guys have to stay healthy, and they got to stay hungry. So they have a good chance, but I'm not saying they're the favorite. I'm a Ram fan. I didn't think they were going to go to the Super Bowl last year. Well, they lost 3 straight or 7-4. I thought they might get beat in the second round. They clawed to Arizona in the playoffs, and then they struggled the next 3 games, and Stafford came up big in the fourth quarter, 3 consecutive games. I mean, it was tough. Rams had a lot of adversity. They came out of it and they won, but you could write a Hollywood novel on that, play the final game at SoFi Stadium. So you never know what's going to happen. They have a chance, but I wouldn't take them as a favorite.
I see. One other thing I wanted to ask you was, what's your thoughts on San Francisco this year? I know Trey Lance is the starting quarterback there, are going to be, and Garoppolo is going to be the backup. Now that we got that drama out of the way, because they kept on talking about trading them, and the Steelers were going to take them, and there was 8,000 scenarios painted out there. What was your thoughts on this from the get-go?
Well, Trey Lance is very fast, and the thing about him is in a good situation, because he has a good running game there in San Francisco, a very good offensive line, solid defense. So he doesn't really have to do as much as a guy like Justin Fields for Chicago and some of the other young quarterbacks. What a backup Jimmy Garoppolo is. A very solid quarterback, but I think suffered too much criticism, even though I'm a Ram fan. Garoppolo's done great against LA, and he's tough. I'll tell you what, Eli Mitchell is a good running back along with Wilson. Hey, Deebo Samuel is awesome. A guy with that size, 230, that can run. The Rams have all kinds of problems with him. Just getting the ball to the open flat. Tittle's a very solid tight end. And as you know, they have a very good defense. They're a physical team. That's why they give the Rams trouble. They like to run the football. They'll run the football 40 times. San Francisco is very successful, 4.5 yards a carry. And so they're a tough matchup for the Rams and for a lot of teams. They'll pass when they have to. We'll see how it goes. So, yeah, I think it's going to be between the Rams and San Francisco in the NFC West.
Anyway, as far as the Rams go, I know Sean McVay has this thing of, giving away draft picks and getting these veteran players. Do you think that's going to bite him in the butt in the future, or do you think that it's always going to work like this?
Well, it could bite him in the butt in the future. Maybe he'll be gone by then. Maybe he'd sign like a 3 or 4 year contract.
Yeah.
He's thinking about, retiring and being a TV commentator, but they offered him some nice money. He's on like about 37. Decided he was too young to retire. Well, that's their philosophy. It's win now.
Right.
So, it worked last year, but it could be a problematic for the Rams, because they have given away a lot of their draft picks. But they actually have some pretty good young players in their team, some guys that were not high draft picks that will see some playing time this year, that are in their second or third year. So I think that they know football pretty good, the Rams upper management. I think they kind of work out the pieces well. It's not the best way to go, but here's the whole thing. You have a chance to win a Super Bowl, and you have Aaron Donald on your team, who's about in his 9th year. You have Cooper Kupp. You got to go for it. They did, and they came out successful.
Let me ask you, I know we were talking off the air that you don't know much about the Chargers, but being that they've moved to LA, is the fanfare better for them now, or is it still, is it still the San Diego Chargers regardless?
Well, they're getting some fans in Los Angeles. Justin Herbert is a great quarterback. A lot of people think he's an MVP candidate, along with Josh Allen of Buffalo, who's playing the Rams Thursday. And I like him, with Oregon, an excellent player. Austin Eckler, the running back. Keenan Allen is a super wide receiver. Gerald Everett, a former Ram, is a tight end. Also, I know Sonny Michel is a backup running back for the Chargers. He played for the Rams last year, and prior to that, he was with New England, because the Rams, the head coach, is the former defensive coordinator for the Rams.
Right.
Then you have Joey Bosa. And the key for all these guys, especially Bosa, you got to stay healthy. Bosa's have a problem. He and his brother Nick have an issue with getting injured every year.
Right.
They're both great athletes. Their dad was a heck of an NFL player. but you got to stay healthy. I know it's tough in the NFL, but the Chargers are a team they're knocking on the door. They're knocking on the door. They have a chance in that division, and they have a chance to represent the AFC in a championship. I don't think they will.
Right.
I think they have a chance. And they're a good club, and they play at a beautiful stadium.
Oh, it was great. Let me ask you something there. Was there ever any talk about I thought I heard at one time there was talk about the Chargers and the Rams having separate stadiums. What led it to them having a combined stadium?
Probably money.
Okay. Well, I was just,
that costs a lot of money to put that majestic theater together, SoFi Stadium, the fountains around it and everything. I don't know, in particular, I wish a Chargers stayed in San Diego because I have relatives that live down there. San Diego's a great city.
Right.
I don't really care for the teams, but I like San Diego State. And they built a new stadium for them, by the way. And I wish that the Chargers stayed in San Diego because that's pretty much who they are. The problem with them, they kind of have to be the roommate for the Rams in LA. So they're sort of like a second cousin. Even though they're a fine organization,
oh yeah,
I like their colors, I like their team, but I think for them, it'd be better if they could have built a new stadium for them in San Diego.
Okay, well, and let's get back to the 49ers a little bit. They kind of, flopped a little bit last year. Do you think they have any kind of chance this year? What's their story this year?
Yeah, well, I don't know about them flopping.
No, I don't mean flopping, but I mean, they kind of
struggled during the regular season, but came on. The thing is, the Niners did the Rams a favor. Remember, they went to Green Bay and beat them?
Yeah.
As you probably know, maybe don't know, the Rams just do not beat Green Bay.
Oh, they can never. No, I've seen that, yeah.
They play Green Bay there, Rodgers eats them up. So the Niners did the Rams a favor at winning at Green Bay, and people saying, well, Mark, why do you want San Francisco to play the Rams? I said, well, if they beat Green Bay, then they'll play, and the Rams win, the Niners will play the Rams at SoFi. And they're saying, well, it seemed like they've had the Rams number played. I said, well, you know what? The Rams got to go through them to reach the promised land. Sometimes you have to do that as an athlete. You have to go through adversity to win it all. So, in a sense, they did the Rams a favor. That was a tough game. The Rams were down by 13 late in the third, and they came back and beat San Francisco. So, no other team I'd love for them to beat. And once again, this year when the Rams play Green Bay, they play at Green Bay. So, I think San Francisco is going to be a very good team this year. I think they'll be very good. Like I said, solid running game. I think pretty good quarterback play. We don't know for sure how Trey Lance is going to do. If he doesn't come through, you have Jimmy Garoppolo. He's solid.
Right.
Good defense. Deebo Samuel, solid. They'll be right there. Yeah,
it was nice to see. It was nice to see Garoppolo take a pay cut and agree to restructure his contract. That was nice to see him, being a team player and all that, based on all the 800 things of drama we had to go through this off season with him.
He's a good dude. He may be a Niner, but he's a good guy. He learned under Tom Brady. He's very smooth, very consistent. As you said, very team oriented. He's a great guy to have on your team.
Okay, great. Let's talk a little bit about baseball. I know the Dodgers and the Padres are out there, San Francisco Giants. What's it looking like? I mean, I know the Dodgers are sort of up and down, and we got Mark Mancini and his Padre thing here, and like we talked about off the air, and a few other things. What's your thoughts on the West Coast teams this year?
Right now the Dodgers have 92 wins. They've only won 3 of their last 7 games.
Wow.
Pitching's a little bit up and down because they've had so many injuries. You don't know it's going to be healthy. To the off season. I think the regular season ends October 5th. And last night, Dustin May, who came back, the big redhead, after being out for more than a year, he pitched well his first 2 starts. And his last start, he gave up 6 runs in less than 5 innings and walked 5 for the Dodgers. But if he pitches in the playoffs, if he starts, he's probably not going to go more than 5. Clayton Kershaw came back from injury. He only gave up 1 run in 5 innings. That's about the most he's going to throw in a playoff game.
Right.
The Dodgers have to have a good bullpen to win in the playoffs. And that means from the 6th inning on. Julio Urias can pitch 6-7 innings plus. By Kershaw, you limit him to 5 innings or pitch count. You limit Dustin May to 5. Alexander, he's 13-3 and has pitched well. Don't know how he's going to do in the playoff. But the whole key is Tony Gonsolin at 17-1. Had a forearm strain. MRI came out, no problems there. So he's throwing. He probably won't come back to the mid-September. What Tony Gonsolin will we see when he comes back? He'll have a couple of starts in the playoffs. He's never pitched in playoff pressure, but he's 17-1 with an ERA about 2.2. Since you don't have Walker Buehler this year, Gonsolin, really, they need him. didn't come through. Trinan's back. Reliever Blake Trinan pitched well in 2 starts. I'm not really sold on Kimbrel. I don't really trust him as a closer. They got a lot of arms, the Dodgers, but some of their guys, to me, should be released.
How's Tyler Anderson doing down there? I hear he's up for the Cy Young. Is that true?
Cy Young, I don't think he's going to get the Cy Young.
Okay.
He's a good pitcher. The Dodgers' main chance for Cy Young is Gonsolin.
Okay. All right.
17-1.
No, I had heard something, about that, and he was with the Pirates for a little while.
20 games, Gonsolin, because he's hurt now.
Oh, jeez. He was hurt again. He was hurt.
About 2 hours for his last start. Probably could have won number 18, but that's not that important. The thing about them is what will they do in a playoff, the Dodgers? They can win 105 to 110 games. Doesn't mean a lot. They've been in first place the entire division.
And then they blew it.
Respond in a postseason.
Yeah, exactly.
We really don't know.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, I've seen the Dodgers blow it. They have a lot of money on a lot of players. And, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's where that's going. And now San Diego was starting to fork out a lot of money. And who knows, they might flop in the playoffs too. I mean, you got some great teams in the American League out here. You have also you have Minnesota, you have Houston, you have some National and American League teams out here that are doing pretty well for themselves, small market as well. And not spending a lot of money, which is a great thing. I was talking about that today with a friend earlier today. We were talking about small market teams who aren't spending a lot of money but still making it. And so
Tampa Bay's always done well with a very small budget. Andrew Friedman of the Dodgers used to be over there doing the analytics. They always seem to be a competitor and a contender. They're not that far behind the Yankees. The Yankees have Aaron Judge having a historic year, but not getting a lot of help. He's got a lot of guys in his team hitting between 200 and 220. And Stan looks like he's hurt again. Stan's hitting about 216. And he has about 25 home runs. Donaldson, a long-time veteran, about 226. The guy they miss is the guy we got from St. Louis, that Matt Carpenter.
Yeah.
He's really doing well for them. He's been out for about a month and a half.
Wow.
He joined the Yankees. It really helped them, and they really need him back. Cole is not as good as he used to be.
Oh, yeah. No, not at all.
Ratio, but
he's overpaid.
They don't really have any other pitchers that are really outstanding. That's a problem. Bullpen, a little bit here and there. Got off to a great start, but they've been under 500 for the last month and a half, the Yankees.
Right, yeah, they have.
Have their number in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Dodger fans don't like the Astros, but you know what? They lost Correa to Minnesota. They lost Springer to Toronto, and Houston's still winning. They got Altuve and Bregman, a lot of guys, good pitching. The Mr. B is still doing great at 39. Dusty Baker's an excellent manager. Houston's going to be tough, whether it's in the American League or if they get to the World Series.
Right.
And in the National League, of course, the Mets, Scherzer has another injury, so if Scherzer and DeGrom are healthy, they could be very tough, but looks like DeGrom came back from injury very well, but then Scherzer hasn't really come back. New York had, their team's based on pitching and defense. Shortstop Lindor's having a fantastic year. Neil is at 300.
Right.
Very solid teams, good manager. And then St. Louis has been playing great the last month and a half. And Pujols, I think, has been a great mentor for the younger players in their team.
Well, that's good. Great. Mark, I want to thank you for being on tonight and bringing us up to speed on everything that's going on in the West Coast with baseball and football. One more time, tell everyone how they can get a hold of you and the show you have going on.
Well, Markman Madness is on Mondays from 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific time on Blog Talk Radio. And my email site is markheff20@gmail.com, markheff20@gmail.com. Hope some of the people listen on Monday at 5.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's 5 p.m. your time, 8 p.m. our time here in the East Coast in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mark, once again, thanks for being on the show tonight, and I appreciated you having me on Saturday, on the amended Saturday edition because of the holiday. How was your holiday, by the way? I wanted to ask you that.
Actually, it's been like between 104 and 109 here. We're in a massive heat wave.
Jeez.
That's going to end on Friday. It's really been hot throughout California. My sister up north lives by the bay. It was like 101 and also Bonta by Berkeley yesterday. My other sister lives in San Marcos, about 10 miles away from the beach, not far from San Diego. It was like 97 yesterday. That's very unusual. But
wow.
It's going to cool down Saturday. By the way, Ralph.
Yes.
Steelers.
Yes, indeed. Against Cincinnati this Sunday. Oh, yeah. And they made a typo. Did you hear about the typo error they made? Uh, it was supposed to be Trubisky, Pickett, and Mason Rudolph, and then they ended up putting it Trubisky, Rudolph, and Pickett, and everybody made a big stink out of it. So Tomlin, in his press conference, he has one every Tuesday, he decided to, or he had said that there was a typo error there or something, and now it's Pickett number 2, Kenny Pickett, our first-round pick, and Trubisky number 1. I think the Steelers, they made some moves here since the preseason. They traded for Jesse Davis. They brought in, traded for Malik Reed. They brought him in from Denver as a edge rusher. I really hope, Mark, that they don't do to him what they did to Melvin Ingram and have what I call liabilities, because they lied to Melvin Ingram, and then he got so disgruntled he wanted out, and they ended up trading him and getting practically like a late-round pick to Kansas City, and he did well in Kansas City. So,
that's why you're Pittsburgh's lost son.
Yeah. No, I'm their forgotten son, man. People around here, they don't seem to, not everybody, not all the media hypes, but, seem to have forgotten about me around here. You know what I mean? So. But I know you haven't, Mark, and I appreciate that. I get a lot of invites from the national perspective, and I enjoy that. There are some shows here I don't get any invites on, so that's fine. I don't care. I'm moving. I appreciate it, Mark. Thank you for having me on Saturday. I appreciate you coming on tonight. We'll have you on again, and in the future, talk more sports. And have a great one. Thank you very much, and have a good night and be safe. Thank you. That was Mark Hefferman from the West Coast. He has a show called Mark Men Madness on Blog Talk Radio. Next, coming up, we have Jerry DePaola. So we're going to talk about Pitt. I have him here on standby. He's getting ready to come up right now. Jerry, thanks for being on the program.
How you doing, Ralph?
Hang on a minute here. How you doing, Jerry?
Good. Can you hear me? How you doing?
Yeah, I can hear you real good, Jerry. Thanks for being on the program. The backyard brawls in the books. I was at the game. You were at the game. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, West Virginia was better than Pitt expected, better than the Pitt fans expected, better than I expected. And except for a pass going through the hands of a pretty good West Virginia wide receiver, that could have been a Pitt defeat. But boy, you got to give MJ Devonshire credit for being on the spot when the ball bounced off the receiver's hands, and he caught that ball, and he was like a shot out of a cannon, running 56 yards for the winning touchdown. It was a great atmosphere, the biggest crowd ever to attend any sporting event in Pittsburgh history. 70,000 something, 70,000.
70,000 and some change I saw on the scoreboard.
Exactly. Yeah. No other event, any sport in this city has ever attracted a bigger crowd than that game Thursday night. They're going to play it 3 more times in the next 3 years, and then they're going to take a break for 3 years, and then they come back and play it again through 2032. So they'll play 7 times in the next 10 years. They should play it every year, and I hope
that's great.
At some point, though, they'll make it an annual event. How these athletic directors and these networks are. You never know how things are going to go. But ESPN should be happy to get that game on its air once a year. But with the excitement of the crowd and the way the game was played, it was a very intense game. A lot of action back and forth. Turnovers, punt block, big interception return, pick 6. It was just very entertaining football.
Let me ask you this question here, and I'm going to say this once. I've said it many times. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Do you think Pitt got lucky this time? Because they definitely were not good.
Well, no, I'd say they were good. They weren't great. They were lucky at the end because, like I said, the guy dropped the ball. I mean, he catches the ball, it might be a different ball game.
Right.
But also, MJ Devonshire, that wasn't luck when he ran that ball back. I mean, that was athletic ability, talent, and speed that got him into the end zone. So that wasn't luck at all. And how about the touchdown right before that? Pitt was on the 8-yard line. They go 92 yards with the touchdown pass to Izzy
92 yards,
to tie the game. That wasn't luck. I think that the offensive line didn't play very well. Pat Narduzzi even said it yesterday. He thought maybe they might have had fat heads because they, all came back and they all thought they were going to have a great season and didn't play as well as everybody expected. And then the run defense was horrible. 190 yards West Virginia gained against a Pitt defense that really prides itself on stopping the run. So yeah, they didn't play very well. They didn't play great, but I wouldn't say they were bad. I think they were just average, and that was actually the term that Arduzzi used, average. And they won because they were opportunistic. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but they were more than lucky. They were very talented, and they made plays when it counted.
One other thing too, it was interesting to see the Signetti offense back. When he was here with Wannstedt. I wasn't used to seeing that because of 2 years, 3 years of Whipple. What was your thoughts on that? Do you like the idea of them going back to this power running game that Signetti has, and in his offensive regime and whatnot?
Yeah, I think you pretty much have to do that. I mean, Keaton Slovis is a nice quarterback, and he throws a nice ball. But I think Pat Narduzzi and Signetti, they want to get back to a more balanced offense, so they can, be a threat in the ground and in the air. And last year, Whipple, why would Whipple want to take the ball out of Kenny Pickett's hands? Kenny Pickett was a first-round draft pick, probably the best, second or third best quarterback in college last year. Of course, you're going to throw the ball. And Whipple did a great job, of handling Pickett. And by the way, Pickett wouldn't have come back for his senior year if Whipple wasn't the OC. He worked
I know. Yeah, we had this discussion last time. Yeah.
Right. And so So I think getting back to a more balanced power running game is good, but they better run a little better than what they did. Izzy Abanikanda didn't run that well. The offensive line didn't block very well, and these offensive linemen, they wanted to prove to themselves, to the rest of the country, and to the NFL scouts that they can be good run blockers, and they didn't prove that the other night, and it could be a problem going forward, especially when they play good teams. And they got a great one coming in. A really good one coming in Saturday in Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee just beat Ball State this past weekend, 62-10, and Tennessee's no fooling. It's the Johnny Majors Classic at Heinz Field. I was at the game, Jerry. I got kind of displaced from the press box because they didn't have room for me, so I had to sit in section 536. I will be there again this week because there's no room for me in the press box. So I will be there and it was nice. I had West Virginia fans around me. I had a couple guys who were screaming and hollering, and then all I had to say was 13-9, and they just shut up after that.
You take your life in your hands, Ralph. You take your life in your hands when they throw out fighting words like that. You got to be careful. Those West Virginia fans.
Right. Hey, they were starting with us. Man, they were calling us Pittis, and I'm not going to use the explanatory on here, but they were saying that, and I just said, what, at least I don't have to live with 13-9, and I had this couple sitting beside me. It was nice. They were nice to talk to. We were talking about Neil Brown. They were from Macon, Georgia. They came up to see the backyard brawl. They were West Virginia fans through and through, and then they said that that Neil Brown is on eggshells this year. This is his fourth year, and they think that he hasn't progressed as well as they want him to, and so that's what I was told by this couple who told me a little bit about this. And then I had another guy who just stood up and just yelled and screamed and said everything exploratory at me about Pitt and everything else, and I just turned around and I said 13-9, and as soon as I said that, he shut up the rest of the night. So I mean, it was nice to,
Well,
I know, but I had a lot of Pitt fans around me.
It's interesting how that game developed. Neil Brown is like you said is on a hot seat there, and he needs to win, or he could be out of the job at the end of the season. But I think he will. He has a good team right there. He has a good team that probably is going to win 8 or 9 games this year if they play like they did against Pitt. But when he punted on 4th and short, 4th and less than a yard, to give Pitt the ball with a 7-point deficit, I think he's living in his fears. If he goes for it there and he makes it, the game's probably over. I mean, at least it would have given Pitt less time to come down and score. Not enough time to get 2 touchdowns because at that point the Mountaineers were up by 7 points. And I know a lot of West Virginia fans weren't happy that he punted. There were some people around the city who called it cowardly coaching, which I think is probably accurate because with 4th and 1, You're in a rivalry game. You're beating the guy, a team that is favored by 7 points. You got a chance to put him away. Go ahead and do it. I'm really surprised that he
Right.
punted there, and that decided the ball game, in my opinion, because he gave Pitt the ball. Of course, gave him on the 8-yard line, and they had a nice punt and everything. But Slovis was up to the task and drove them 92 yards for the tying touchdown.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping this year, Jerry, and I wasn't saying this to be ignorant. I was kind of hoping that he wasn't another Max Brown bombed out like Max Brown did when he was here. And
Max Brown was
but I
injured
mean,
too.
I like what I saw out of Slovis. I'm sorry?
Max Brown had a shoulder injury. That was his big problem. Max Brown had a shoulder injury. He wasn't a bad quarterback. He just had some bad luck. But Slovis is very talented, very accurate passer. His freshman year at USC in 2019, he completed more than 70% of his passes. I mean, this guy really knows how to throw the football, and he proved it in that game. They didn't throw as much as maybe they did when Pickett was the quarterback, but when they did throw it, they did well. Right. He had a couple drops too that didn't hurt, and his receivers helped him out. I mean, Jared Wayne had a big run and catch. Rodney Hammond had a big run and catch to set up scores. There's some weapons on that Pitt team. If they can get that running game going, they have a nice balanced offense the rest of the season.
Yeah, Slovis. I was impressed with him. His poise and his ability not to get flustered there, and he was able to do what he had to do to get the job done. And that's sometimes managing the game is the best is all you need to win. And but Pitt's defense has to get it together. That rushing defense wasn't all that great this game. And again, we have Tennessee coming up. We beat them last year by a touchdown or so. What's your thoughts on Tennessee this year? You think they're better than they were last year, or what?
I think no question they're better. No question they're better than they were last year. They beat a bad Ball State team 59-10, but they still scored 59 points. And anytime you score 59 points, I don't care who you're playing, you got the weapons on offense. And we were talking to some of the coaches and players today. Tennessee runs one of those tempo offenses where Pat Narduzzi claims that they snap the ball between 7 and 12 seconds after the previous play. So you got to be on your toes and keep your eyes where they're supposed to be. And if Pitt's defense doesn't do the fundamental things right and get themselves ready for a quick snap, they're going to be in trouble. And I think it's going to be a tough game for Pitt to win. They had some problems against West Virginia. They're going to have bigger problems against Tennessee.
With the no huddle. I saw that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No huddle. That tempo offense, and a lot of schools run tempo offenses. And Pitt has played tempo offenses, many, many times in the past, but they do it a little bit of a different way. We're talking to Charlie Partridge, who's a D-line coach today, and he was watching obviously video of the Ball State game and other games Tennessee has played. When they run a play, the official on the side judge is looking for the ball, but the ball carrier, he runs in the middle of the field, gives it to the umpire. So they can set it down quicker and get that play snap quicker because they want to snap the ball before the defense is ready. And that could be a big problem for Pitt. And, they're favored by 5 or 6 points. Tennessee is. I kind of like Pitt with the points if I was going to bet the game, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if Tennessee walks out of there as the victor.
Yeah, there's been a lot of saying going on about that, and so it was also nice at the Pitt game against West Virginia to see Dave Wannstedt back for the as the inaugural or the honorary captain. It was great to see him back. I didn't like the way he went out at Pitt. I thought he'd still be here today. I think if he was still given the opportunity and not fired by by the second term of Steve Peterson. I thought that was a bad thing, and I like Dave Wannstedt. I thought he was good for the team. He was a good salesman for the university, and he brought in a lot of good recruits, and a lot of guys went to the NFL and things like that. So I think that and it was good to see him again. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think I don't know if Wannstedt would still be the coach today. That was 2010. That's another 12 years. He would be a coach for almost 18 years if he was still the coach, which I guess is possible. It could have happened, I guess. But it was nice to have him back because he's a Pitt guy through and through. He's a Pitt man, and Pat Narduzzi allowed him to speak to the team, and he gave an inspirational talk before the game and got the guys fired up to play the game. And MJ Devonshire talked about it after the game, talked about Wannstedt's speech where he said, one of you guys is going to be a hero tonight. One of you guys is going to make history. Who's it going to be? Who's going to step up and do it? And Devonshire stepped up and got the pick six and won the game. So Wannstedt, sort of inspired them. And he's not the reason they won, but he wasn't doing a bad job at Pitt. He lost some games that he probably should have won. But the problem with firing Dave Wannstedt is they hired Todd Graham. They never really. Well, first of all, they hired the Haywood guy, Michael Haywood. They first with Michael Haywood. They hired for 2 weeks. And he gets arrested. Then Todd Graham, and he hangs around for about 5 minutes. And tried to pissed everybody off. They got it right with Paul Chris. But Paul Chris didn't want to stay here. Paul Chris is a Wisconsin guy, and he wanted to go back to Wisconsin. Can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
They got it right with Pat Narduzzi.
No.
It's his eighth season. He signed through the year 2030. Wouldn't surprise me if he's still here. In 5 or 6 years from now. A lot of coaches don't last that long. But you know what? He could be, by the end of this season, I think he needs 6 wins this year, 6 more wins this year to become the second winningest coach in Pitt football history. But behind only Jock Sutherland, I think. So I really believe that they got it right with Pat Narduzzi. They got the arrows pointing up. They won the ACC championship last year. They knocked off West Virginia. Now, if they knock off Tennessee on Saturday, I could see them moving maybe into the top 10. I mean, they're still at 17. They were 17 in the preseason. They're 17 in this week's poll. The poll that came out this afternoon. But a victory against another Power 5 team, I could see them being 10 or 12 in next week.
How about Florida State beating LSU? I never thought that because I know Mike Norvell was under some heavy sledding down there with Florida State, but beating LSU by 1 point, wow. That had to be a crazy scenario down there because I didn't expect that.
Mike Norvell's a smart coach. He actually was what Todd Graham's wide receivers coach for the 1 year Todd Graham was here.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has a program pointing upward. I think that if there's people down in Tallahassee that want to get him fired, I think they're crazy. I think Norvell's a good coach, and he has a thing. Yeah, well, they're crazy. Let the guy build a program. He's only been there with this his 3rd year. Let the guy build a program for goodness sake.
Looks like Narduzzi. I was frustrated years ago with Narduzzi. I says, you know what? He's been here all these years, hasn't won enough bowl games, and then laid an egg a few times in some in some games and some things, and but then last year happened, but then we ended up with unfinished business by not winning a bowl game. So I mean, but you're right. Sometimes keeping the coach on is the best thing for recruiting because if you keep changing coaches, you're not going to keep your players. They're going to go somewhere else. And now that they know that Narduzzi's been here 8 years, now Pitt's starting to reap the benefits of that. And actually that became a good thing to do was to keep him here rather than, he hasn't been to a bowl game in a while. And then when he was at the bowl game, he keeps losing them all except the Quick Lane Bowl. So, I mean, it's good to have stability. He's got Charlie Partridge. He's a great recruiter in Florida. And, he's got some good staff behind him. And I think he's going to do pretty well down the road as well.
One of the best things Pat Narduzzi does, I believe, is hire coaches. He hired Mark Whipple, who was a great offensive coordinator. He hired Frank Signetti, who's a great offensive coordinator. He has Charlie Partridge as a defensive line coach and a great recruiter.
Canada.
Cannon had one good season here before he went to LSU. But Dave Borbley doesn't get enough credit either, offensive line coach. I mean, Borbley has done a good job building those kids up. They didn't play very well against West Virginia, but I think overall that line's going to come together and it's going to play pretty well by the end of the season.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because the question that I had, and I brought this up about how good Frank Signetti was because I saw him when he was with Dave Wannstedt, what he could do with the quarterbacks and everything, and also his offense is more a play action power running game kind of thing. And everybody kind of laughed at me. They were like, well, I don't think Pitt's going to do that well this year because can their offensive line adapt to the running game? And I said, well, we're going to find out. I mean, that's all we can do, changing scheme, changing offensive coordinator. from what I saw at West Virginia, it looks pretty decent. I mean, Slovis got the offense down, and I don't think. And then the running wasn't that great, but Hammond, he got what yards he could get. Izzy, he did what he could do, and I like Izzy. I hope he gets more carries, and so we'll see what happens there.
The offensive line didn't play well Thursday night, but they're all experienced guys. They're all fifth-year seniors, 24-year-old guys. They're not kids. A lot of times some of these college kids are 18, 19 years old. These guys are men. They're men. They're big men, and I think they're experienced men. They've been around a long time. I think it's only a matter of time before they get the run game going. The problem is that Rodney Hammond, their best running back, apparently has an injured foot. He left that game early Thursday night. But he talked to the media afterwards. Came walking into the media room with a boot on his right ankle. I don't know what that means for the rest of the week or for Saturday, because Pat Narduzzi doesn't talk about injuries. I can't speculate one way or the other. But if Hammond doesn't play, that's a big blow. But they have other guys. I mean, Izzy didn't run well against West Virginia, but he's a good back. And that's Sebo Flemister, I thought was going to be better. He had one carry against West Virginia. He fumbled, and they took him out of the game. And Vincent Davis didn't play at all. And if Hammond doesn't play for whatever reason,
I know Davis didn't play at all. He played a lot in the last few years. Yeah,
Davis played a lot. Yeah.
How about this Michael Carter?
Daniel Carter.
This Michael Carter?
Daniel Carter.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
He had two carries, 4 yards, but he scored a touchdown. He was the most improved offensive player in the spring game, and he gives them some depth there, and he gives them a guy who gives them like a bull in the shadow of the goal line there. So, I think they have an opportunity with some backs. If they can block for these backs, they're going to do well. And if Hammond doesn't play, I like to see Vincent Davis get a chance to play against Tennessee.
Jerry DePaula, thank you for being on the program tonight, talking about Pitt football. And as we continue on with the season, I'll have you on later on, talk about basketball, men's basketball, see how we're going to do this year with Jeff Capel. I know this is his fourth or fifth season. I know he's got to really get something going here, So
we'll see.
We'll see
he redid his team, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He had to restructure his team again, with the transfer portal and all this stuff. So we're going to find out what happens this year with Jeff Capel and Lance White with the women's team, see how they progress this year. I'll have you come back on later on this year. We'll talk more about Pitt football and get everybody ready for the basketball season. But Jerry, thank you for being on tonight. Have a great night. Be safe. Tell everybody what you do. I know you work for the TRIB Live, so
TRIBLive.com.
How's that going?
All the stories are on TRIBLive.com. There was a couple on there right now, and there are several on there since Thursday. So read all about it.
Okay, great. Say hi to Mark and Tim for me. Tim Benz and Mark Madden. Say hi to them.
I will do that. I will do that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You have a great night, Jerry. Thank you for being on.
Ralph.
Appreciate it. That was Jerry DePaula from the TRIB Live. And super duper having him on all the time talking about Pitt football. And this past weekend, as you well know, on Thursday night was the backyard brawl. I thought Pitt did a good job in making up for the mistakes that they made. And if they have to clean up their game, because if they don't clean up their game, they're going to end up losing very badly to Tennessee, because Tennessee, I mean, I know it was Ball State, but still, as Jerry mentioned, they put up 59 points. Later on, we're going to talk about some more college scores around the country, and also we're going to talk about the Pirates later on, too, in the Hall of Fame. It was great to see these players in the Hall of Fame. Dave Parker, Willie Stargell, Hannes Wagner, Bill Mazeroski, all those guys. And later on, high school scores, the River Hounds, Robert Morris, Duquesne. We have a lot of – I tell you what, I gotta put a shout out to the Westinghouse Bulldogs. I tell you what, of the City League, they have really done. I tell you what, they're winning some games. They just won again this week. All right, Westinghouse. They beat a Steelton high school team, 39-18, and this Steelton team is number one in 1A across the state, and Westinghouse beat them. Wow. Congrats again, as I said, to Westinghouse. All right. I give them kudos for that. Okay, let's talk about the Steelers. As you well know today, Art Rooney II held a press conference, and he was talking about they're retiring Franco Harris's jersey to celebrate the 50th year of the Immaculate Reception. And then all of a sudden, the big thing all started floating on my phone, floating on the emails, floating on the Facebook page, floating all across the area here. Oh, why didn't we retire Terry Bradshaw's number? Oh, how come we didn't do Jack Lambert's or Joe Green's number? Well, you know what? That's coming, everybody. But see, as usual, as Steeler fans, we are not patient. All right? I'm sure that Art Rooney II has plans to retire some more jerseys down the road. Okay? Art, his grandfather, didn't believe in it, and neither did Dan Rooney. Okay? And with all the great players there were with the Steelers, you know, the Steelers should have their own wing, and they probably do at the Football Hall of Fame. Okay? So if that's the case, then I can just imagine how many, retired numbers we're going to have all over Acrisure Stadium. They might run out of numbers. Okay? So, just be patient, everybody. Eventually, it's going to come down the road where all these numbers are going to be retired. All right. This week, the Steelers traded for Malik Reed from Denver. He's an edge rusher. As I mentioned to Mark Hefferman earlier, the Steelers have a big problem. And Kelly Russell said this on Steel City Sports World. He's a contributor there and also a friend of mine. All right. Kelly Russell said this, and he said it once, and I'll repeat his sentiment. The Steelers have liabilities. Okay. They lied to Melvin Ingram. They played all kinds of games with him, all right, that he got so agitated and angry. Look at what they did to LeGarrette Blount, okay, despite the fact that he did what he did with Le'Veon Bell. But even before that, look at what they did to LeGarrette Blount. They didn't give him any kind of an opportunity here. So they traded for Malik Reed. So let's see what they do with Malik Reed, okay? Is Malik Reed going to be the edge rusher that is advertised, all right? There has to be a reason Denver traded him, as they always say. And the Steelers usually are good at picking up these scrap heap guys from the used car lot, as I always say, okay? But, last couple of years they found some gems. In the last couple of years they found nobody, all right? So let's see what they do, because I'm not happy with the fact that Devin Bush, okay, is on the team, all right? We all know the situation with Devin Bush. So, now he's back on the team, or he's, still on the team. For what reasons, no one knows, and I don't either, okay? So, everyone's allowed to, be like that as far as what the Steelers do. But there are some players that I think that the Steelers need to quit liking, okay? Tomlin gets this fix on this one bum that, just for some strange reason, he likes him. So Devin Bush is one of the players that it seems like Mike Tomlin really likes, okay? So that's why he's keeping Devin Bush, all right, for that. And then also, not only is he keeping Devin Bush, but how about Benny Smell? And I call him Smell because he stinks. And guess what? He's demoted. He's down to number 2 on the depth chart behind Najee Harris. It's great to see Jaylen Warren get this job, okay? I think the Steelers should have went out and got a veteran running back to come in here. They could have. There were a couple out there, all right? What, they're going to lie to him too? Okay? All right? Najee, you cannot – if Mike Tomlin does what he did to Willie Parker, Najee Harris isn't going to be here very long, okay? Because he ran him till the wheels fell off. And then he BS'd everybody about the injury that he had. Najee Harris came out and said he's got that foot injury, that one that a lot of athletes get. All right, Calvin Austin III has the same injury. He's out for the season almost. All right, we're not going to see him at all. We may not see him at all because of that injury. All right, so with that, why would you sit there and try to mislead people when you knew your star running back was going to come out and say, that isn't how it works? I have this injury and it's worse than what it is. All right. But you know what? Najee's going to play. He's going to play it to the best of his abilities. But I just hope that the Steelers quit running the wheels off of these guys, because it's going to be short term for him. If that's the case, it's going to be short term. And that's not going to work out for the Steelers, for the betterment of them. They picked him as a #1 draft pick. Okay. I mean, Willie Parker, he was an unsigned draft pick, or a rookie draft free agent. Okay. That's what Willie Parker was. Excuse me. All right. All right. They also traded for a draft pick to Minnesota and picked up Jesse Davis for the offensive line. They brought back Trent Scott. They got rid of Joe Haig. Joe Haig got picked up by Cleveland. All right. So there's a lot of former Steelers now playing on the Cleveland Browns. You have Josh Dobbs. You have now you have Joe Haig, and so I mean in Cleveland's got some former Steelers on there that they're trying to help out. They also got former Steeler tight end and Detroit tight end Jesse Davis, who I thought was going to come back to the Steelers this year, because he said the main reason he left was he got sick of Antonio Brown's drama, and he got tired of the Ben drama, and Ben's not here no more. Okay, the drama's not here; it's gone. At least we hope. Juju's gone, and he's doing his little whatever he does on social media with Kansas City. Okay, all right. George Pickens pretty much will probably be the starter with Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. All right, Gunnar Olszewski. And then you've got, you got Sims, and then you have, oh man, wow. Sometimes I get tongue tied on some of these names, but I got it right here. All right. Yep. Exactly. It's Miles Boykin. Sorry about that. Miles Boykin from the Ravens we picked up. Okay. All right. I think we have a pretty decent receiving crew. I just hope that they stay healthy. If they do, we're in good shape. I'll name off the practice squad as well. And the quarterback rotation, which we talked about earlier tonight with Mark Hefferman. All right. The quarterback rotation was screwed up. Somebody reported the wrong thing. And it's Trubisky, Pickett, and Mason Rudolph. It's not, it was supposed to be, according to the reports, Trubisky, Rudolph, and Pickett. But that's not the case. Okay, Mike Tomlin made that firm decision today at his press conference. All right, so and here we are with what it is, and I know everybody's upset. Those of you who are Mason Rudolph fans, okay, he only played 10 games in 5 years. Okay, whatever chance he did get. All right, but he did win. He won a few games. It was too bad in 2019 that we had the Duck Hodges era. Okay, where he kind of got pushed out for Duck Hodges. All right. Now that we have a whole different thing and Matt Canada can run his offense, it might be better for the Steelers this year. We're going to find out. All right, re-signed offensive lineman Trent Scott. That was good. I wanted them to, because Pat Meyer brought him from Carolina with him here to the Steelers. So we'll see what Trent Scott does. But I'm a little more happier now. I wish they didn't put John Legou and then Joe Haig. I thought Haig and Legou were decent players. Problem with Haig was he ended up having a concussion during preseason, and that sort of ended up for him to be out. But I'm interested to see Kendrick Green as a backup. He stinks. Joe Moore. I mean Tom Moore Jr. I mean it's unbelievable. Okay. It's really unreal what's going on here with this team. Dan Moore Jr. Okay, he didn't do well this preseason. All right, I mean I know some of you are saying, well, in the third game the offensive line did look a little bit better, but it's a teeny little bit better. But you need to get a lot better, because if you don't, you're going to have a bad season. Because I don't think, in my eyes, that the Steelers are going to be able to get away with this bad offensive line 2 years in a row. You know what they say sometimes, don't you? Luck can run out on you in an instant. Well, the Steelers got lucky last year because they had Ben at quarterback. They got lucky last year because a few breaks came their way. They're going to need a lot of breaks this year. They're going to need a lot of luck this year, okay? And they're going to need a lot of playmakers this year. That's what the Steelers are going to need to win. All right? They play Cincinnati, the runner-up in the Super Bowl, who surprised everybody and just creeped up. They kept to themselves. There was no drama. There was no nothing. They just sort of creeped up there, okay? And got into the playoffs. Beat Kansas City. Beat some other teams to get in. All right? And here we are. Cincinnati was in the playoffs and went to the Super Bowl last year for Zach Taylor and his bunch. And only his third year. All right? So at least he's done something like that. Marvin Lewis was with Cincinnati and didn't even make it to a Super Bowl. Although I like Marvin Lewis, but he just, for some strange reason, couldn't do it. He had an undisciplined team that had 8,000 penalties, and he had guys like Burfict and Adam Pac-Man Jones and some other guys out there that constantly were, getting suspended and disciplined and fined and all that other stuff. Well, now Zach Taylor has a good team. Cleveland Browns, I don't expect them to do anything that much this year. Drama's in the court again. Kevin Stefanski's going to lose again, and they're going to fall again. So that's what I think of Cleveland. Okay? I don't care if Deshaun Watson comes back and tries to save the day. It's not going to happen. I don't think it is. All right? Baltimore, on the other hand, they're trying to work out a contract with Lamar Jackson. They got that drama going on down there. But there is, one thing that I was told was that Baltimore is struggling with injuries. They're going to have to play some rookies like Travis Jones. They're going to have to play Dan Falala, who I thought the Steelers should have drafted from Minnesota, 380 pounds. He's another refrigerator Perry. He can run the ball, pass the ball, hold the ball and kicks, and do fake punts like we were supposed to do with this Presley Harvin, and we haven't done anything. Okay? I don't think Danny Smith wants to do anything like that. But that's what Baltimore has. They got beefier, but they have some injuries now. Okay, and they had injuries last year, and they fell. So let's see what Baltimore, how they are able to come through this year. This AFC North should be a toss-up division this year. We'll see how good Cincinnati is and repeats to the Super Bowl. And we'll find out what they're made of this Sunday. All right, as I mentioned before, Calvin Austin III hurt. Also, Damani Kazee hurt. Okay. Them guys are going to probably be out for the whole year. That could happen, okay, with them. But they've been put on IR, all right? We re-signed Jameer Jones off of waivers. He was with the Steelers before. Got rid of Derek Tuska. He got signed by Tennessee, okay? I was just talking with my friend Claudio Rosano, and he liked Derek Tuska. He was on the show here when I had my Steelers special about a week or two ago. Okay? He was on here. And he said he liked Derek Tuska. I thought he was a good player too, but, he's gone now. He's with Tennessee. All right, let's take a look at the practice squad for the Steelers. Then we'll get into the main roster. Now, first, this one surprises me because Anthony McFarland was a recommendation from Matt Canada, because Anthony McFarland played under Matt Canada when he was interim coach at Maryland after Randy Edsall got fired. Okay? All right? So what had happened was Matt Canada got a taste of what Anthony McFarland was all about and recommended the Steelers draft him. He was hurt all last year. He really didn't get much of a shot to play. He's shown some sparks, some speed, and some agility. But he was put on the practice squad. He didn't make it again. And I don't know if he fell into a numbers game, or, again, as I said before, you have Mike Tomlin, who has these certain bums that he just seems to like the Devin Bushes of the world and the Benny Smells and all that. Okay? I don't trust the fact that Benny Smell is the backup running back to, I even like this Jaylen Warren, but the problem I have with Jaylen Warren is he's not an experienced running back. Okay? William Dunkel, offensive lineman. John Legoo. I thought John Legoo was a good, the times he did play, he was good. He was better than Dan Moore. Okay, Dan Moore stinks. All right, he needs some seasoning. He needs to sit down and take a look at things. All right, it's 9 o'clock. We're here in Sports Corner. My name's Ralph Williams. I had a couple guests on earlier. Mark Hefferman from the West Coast also has a show on Blog Talk Radio, 347-205-9631, right after my The Way I See It show here, live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. Tonight we're not on Twitch. I was having some issues getting onto Twitch. They're having some. They've been doing some stuff, and I've had a couple issues with them. So tonight was one of them. So we're not on Twitch tonight, but we're still live on Facebook and YouTube. All right. So no excuse. Every Tuesday night, be here at 8 o'clock. Monday night, 7 o'clock p.m. live YouTube and Facebook, and also on Twitch. The Way I See It with me, Ralph Williams, and then at 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio, Mark Men Madness with Mark Hefferman, 205, okay, or I'm sorry, 347-205-9631 is the number to listen to. He's on the same network that I have my wrestling show on Thursday night, Blog Talk Radio. Thursday night, 8 o'clock. I tell you what, wrestling, I tell you what, tomorrow night, I'm going to be on here with Talking Wrestling, and my co-host, Smoking Jim Frazier, will be on by phone, because he has his commitment with Steel City Sports World, okay? But he will be on by phone here, okay, tomorrow night. And he and I are going to be doing a show from now on Wednesday nights called Talking Wrestling. And tomorrow night I have Phil Fleck coming on from Red Zone Wrestling here in Pittsburgh. It's an independent wrestling organization. And Phil's going to talk about his organization. And we're going to talk about some of what's going on with the WWE and the AEW. I tell you, lots to talk about. Two great pay-per-views over the weekend, and we'll be talking about it on Thursday night as well. Clayton Trudor, our contributor, will be back to talk with myself, Smoking Jim Frazier, Mark Mancini, Wrestle Talk, Blog Talk Radio, 347-205-9631 if you want to listen to the show. I urge you to tune in. It's a great wrestling show. Also coming up real soon, I had to postpone the tapings because of Smoking Jim and I both had some family issues that we had to contend with, so we had to postpone our tapings. But coming up is Talking Wrestling on Channel 21 Comcast, 47 Verizon, PCTV in Allegheny County, and also outside of Allegheny County on the on their Facebook page. Okay. Next, Ryan McCullum. He was a center. We brought him in. Cody White, wide receiver. Now, I'm surprised at that, too. His father is a scout with the team. All right? Very surprised. Hamashir Rahid, outside linebacker. We brought him in, signed him from another team. Defensive tackle Carlos Davis. He's been on the team for a while. Defensive back Elijah Riley. We just brought him in not too long ago. Mark Gilbert is back. We just re-signed him to the practice squad. He was with the team for a few years. Tight end Justin Rigg, he's new to the practice squad. He was just acquired. Chappelle Russell was just acquired. Running back Jason Huntley is back. Okay, Jason Huntley, he was once with the team. Defensive lineman Rennell Urin. Safety Andrew Adams, we just brought him on. Okay, he's from Tampa Bay. He's a safety. He was just waived. We signed him to the practice squad. And the cornerback, Josh Jackson. That is your 16-man practice squad for the Steelers. And the 53-man roster, of course, we expected this. Pat Firemuth, the tight end, Zach Gentry, and Connor Hayward are going to be your tight ends. Your offensive linemen, Mason Cole, James Daniels, Jesse Davis, the new we just acquired him in a trade. Kevin Dotson, who Mike Tomlin said did well. I think he didn't do that well this preseason. But you know what? Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, they think they know it all. So we're going to find out what happens with him. Kendrick Green, he stunk up the joint, but he's still on the team. J.C. Hassenauer is back. He's the old rugged veteran who can play some backup center, guard, and tackle. He's good all the way around. So Dan Moore Jr., again, I'm very skeptical about him, and I'm glad they signed Jesse Davis because at least we will have some experience at that position. Jesse Davis is also another guy who can play several positions on the line. Mason Cole can play several positions on the line. It's great to have guys like that, especially with experience. Trent Scott, also an offensive lineman. They're going to carry 9 this year. Oh, offensive linemen. Okay, quarterbacks. We mentioned Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph. Now, don't believe the first erroneous. Okay, remember now, it's erroneous report. All right. That's pretty scary when the erroneous reports keep coming out. Well, this erroneous report said that it was Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett. Well, now it's not that way. It's going to be, Trubisky, Pickett, and then Mason Rudolph. So that's what's going on with that there as well. So, all right. All right, there we are. Yep. Okay. All right, now let's get back to the 53-man roster. The running backs, Najee Harris. All right, we have Najee Harris. And then we also have Benny Smell. Benny Smell, there's another one. Another scary situation there. I don't trust Benny Smell, but I heard the reason he made the team, special teams. All right, special teams will do it for you. Like Charlie Batch would say, oh, you can make the team with special teams. Oh, yeah. So there we are. All right, Miles Boykin, the guy we picked up from the Baltimore Ravens, Chase Claypool, Gunnar Olszewski, George Pickens. Gunnar Olszewski was supposed to be the punt and kick returner for us. That was the main reason we brought him in. But now he's come up as a slot receiver. And he's done well preseason, so now they're going to use him in that position. And if we need to, we can put him in at that position of punt and kick returns. George Pickens, Steve Sims. Steve Sims is going to be the punt and kickoff returner. Okay, so let's see what Steve Sims does this year. All right. Deontay Johnson, of course, the big $18 million man who I thought really shouldn't have got that contract. We'll see what he does this year. If he does good, then the contract's worth what it is on paper. If he does poorly, then the Steelers got to eat it again. Okay? And, it's one thing when you eat, you have to eat it because, the player doesn't perform and you give him all that money. That's just the common of the things of what happens. All right. Let's get into the defense. Defensive line, Cam Hayward, Chris Wormley, Tyson Alawu, Montavious Adams. Let's see here. Who else is in here? Devion Liu, our draft pick, Isaiah Loudermilk. And also Larry Okunjobi. I'm interested to see what he's going to do because he came from Cincinnati and Cleveland. Okay, he didn't pass a physical. And then they said he didn't pass a drug test or something like that. So, Larry Okunjobi, looking like he could, we'll see. A change of pace, change of scenery for a guy like this guy, that works out sometimes for people. All right. All right. Next, linebackers. Marcus Allen is back. He was cut. They brought him back. Devin Bush. Oh, jeez. Devin Bush. Oh, my. Oh, no. Really? I don't even want to go there. I just don't. Alex Highsmith. I question this one, too. He was hurt with a rib injury all preseason. Hardly had any playing time. Last year, he was so-so. Okay. All right. Came the end of the year, didn't really do a whole lot. You got to be consistent when you're at the position Highsmith is at. But, that's what the Steelers need this year, some consistency. Okay, next, Miles Jack, Jameer Jones. They just brought back Jameer Jones. Got rid of Derek Tuska. Robert Spillane, T.J. Watt, Mark Robinson. How about Mark Robinson? Late round draft pick, had a great preseason, made every tackle count. It was great. I watched him. He's physical. He does what he needs to do, and it's great. Okay? It's great to see that. And also, I didn't forget Malik Reed, who we spoke about earlier. Defensive backs, Terrell Edmonds, well, we know about that. But he had a good year last year. This was supposed to be the final year of last year was the final year of his contract. Then they didn't pick up his option and let him go. He tested the market, and nobody wanted him. So the Steelers re-signed him at a discount. So Minka Fitzpatrick, Miles Kennebrew, Arthur Mollett, Trey Norwood, James Pierre, Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace, and Akila Witherspoon. Defensive backs don't look too bad. I mean, Killer Witherspoon, he had a rough start last year, but he came out playing pretty well. Levi Wallace signed by Buffalo. He did well in Buffalo. Cam Sutton's been around. James Pierce, a fast guy. Trey Norwood, draft pick, is still around, late round pick. Arthur Mollett. Miles Kennebrew is always a big, solid guy. Plays a lot of special teams, is the special teams captain, this year. Derek Watt didn't get it this year. All right. Specialist, of course, Chris Boswell. Presley Harvin III. I'd like to see some fake punts from him this year. And, of course, Christian Kuntz. Okay. So that is your Steeler 53-man roster and practice squad. All right. So, that's what's going on right now with the Steelers. And we'll get into some other local sports. As I mentioned earlier, Westinghouse beat Steelton High School. And I got to tell you, this Steelton's team, they are the tops of 1A in the state. And Westinghouse beat them by a final of 39-18. Westinghouse has 2 wins against 2 prominent teams that have been in state playoffs. They beat Clareton as well. So good, and congratulations for Westinghouse of the City League. Riverhounds. The Riverhounds won on Saturday night. They won 2-0. All right, so the Riverhounds are moving along. And then Duquesne football, they lost to Youngstown State 31-14. The mistake bugaboo beat them again. They're going to play Hawaii at the Rainbows this year in Hawaii. That ought to be great. They can say hello to Don Ho and Tiny Bubbles and say hello to my buddy Dog the Bounty Hunter and Mick Fleetwood and some of the other celebrities and folks that I know that live in Hawaii. So there we are. Robert Morris lost to Dayton. I'll tell you what, I'm impressed with Robert Morris this year because Dayton always gives Robert Morris a big-time game. They always blow him out. There's always a big thing. But Robert Morris came through this time around. They almost won. And, of course, almost only counts in horseshoes and also in hand grenades. And that's the end of that. Like I said, I don't have much to talk about the Pirates other than the Hall of Fame. The Pirates, they haven't been doing too much, greatness this year. They kind of flopped again at the end of the All-Star break. There was some promise at the beginning of the season, and then it all broke down again, as it always does. Okay? The problem with the Pirates is, and they're up 4-2 right now in the 8th inning against the Mets. How about that? Well, we'll find out, what happens the rest of the Pirates game here. The $18 million man that strikes out is up to bat right now. But anyway, as I mentioned before, you know what the Pirates need? They need more veteran players. They don't have enough. They don't have too many. They need to get some guys in here that can be an inspiration or can motivate some of these guys, some of these younger guys. Okay? You know what they say, well, that's the job of the manager. Well, you know what? Yeah, it is, but the manager's job can be a little bit easier, and he can focus on winning and doing some different things if he has the right veteran players there to motivate and help motivate some of these young kids. The Pirates don't have any of it. They don't have any of it on the pitching staff. They don't have any of it on the in the bullpen. Okay, the bullpen has laid an egg this year, big time. Bettner's still out with a back injury. Okay, and then you got Will Crow's filled in pretty good. All right, but you got guys like Brian Reynolds and a few of these other guys. There's a bunch of guys on the team not even hitting their weight. So what I'm saying to you is, the Pirates need to really fix up. If they want to compete in 2024, it's all about, well, there's 2024. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like a broken record. That's exactly what it sounds like. Okay? And it's sad. It really is. Okay? All right? I've been saying this before, and I'll say it again, and maybe I'm wrong. Okay? But Ben Cherington is a good general manager. But he did it in Boston. He's on his way to doing it here. He's brought in some good young talent, but you got to have some experienced pieces to build this young team, and we don't. What do we have? Ben Gamble. What do we have? Vanderpool or Vanderweer, whatever his name is. Whoop-de-doo, big deal. Okay? All right? But, it's not going to work that way. All right? You got to get some good experienced veterans in here and pay a couple guys. Bring them in here to motivate some of these young guys, to mix them in. All right. One good thing I'm happy about the Pirates is their Hall of Fame. They had some key guys in there. Roberto Clemente, Bill Mazeroski, Willie Stargell, Dave Parker. And I tell you what, I got some news for you. Tomorrow night, tune in to PCTV Channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon Cable, 6 p.m., Steel City Sports World, Luther Dupree, Claudia Rosano, and Smokin' Jim Frazier, who, of course, is my co-host on wrestling and my Sports Corner TV show. All right. Smokin' Jim Frazier is going to be interviewing Dave Parker tomorrow night. Tune in, 6 p.m. Live call-in show, too. 412-231-2288 tomorrow night as well. All right. All right, let's talk about some other sports right now. Jacksonville Jaguars signed Mario Edwards. Wow, signed Mario Edwards. Mario Edwards is a good player. You know something? Doug Peterson's going to do a good job down there. The preseason looked good. Trevor Lawrence is looking decent. I think Jacksonville might do pretty well with Doug Peterson down there as well. All right. Also, they waived Rudy Summers, or Ty Summers. I'm sorry, Ty Summers. And then Green Bay signs former Pittsburgh Mauler kicker Ramiz Ahmad. Now, you know something? Ramiz Ahmad, he had the record in the USFL. He kicked a 61-yard field goal, but then he missed a 27-yarder and it's some extra points. Oh, my. So we'll see what he does with Green Bay. All right, we'll see what Raheed Ahmad does with Green Bay. They signed him to the practice squad. Hey, you never know. You know, sometimes you might get off the practice squad and be called to be the man. You know, that's it. And then the Tennessee Titans, and if you didn't hear what I mentioned earlier, they signed former Steeler Derek Tuska, who got cut, and the Steelers signed Jameer Jones. College football, Florida. I tell you what, myself and Jerry DePaula were speaking earlier in the show about Florida. And Mike Norvell, looks like this year could be his year. They beat LSU. They beat LSU by 1 point. Okay, Florida State. That is crazy. 24-23. Iowa. Here was the game me and Mark Hefferman talked about off camera or off the air here earlier. Okay, 7-3. All right. Now I don't know what's going on over there in Iowa. All right. Kurt Ferentz is their coach. He's been there forever. Okay. Is it time for Kurt Ferentz maybe to, start to retire maybe? 7-3. Okay. San Diego State. And you know how they won the game? A field goal and 2 safeties. Isn't that interesting, huh? A field goal and 2 safeties. Wow. 7-3 victory. Nebraska, my man Mark Whipple, you beat North Dakota, whoop-de-doo, 38-17. After you got beat by a Northwestern team that didn't worth a darn, and you lost. And Scott Frost is on the hot seat, man. He's walking on eggshells in Nebraska. And they haven't had a decent team, and they haven't done well since Tom Osborne. You know, Nebraska's starting to look like Pitt. Pitt hasn't been prominent since Jackie Sherrill, going to Sugar Bowls and championships and great bowl games and all that other stuff. They haven't been that relevant at all. I know they won the ACC championship last year. Whoop-de-doo. Show me some more. Okay. Show me some more. You know what? I'm buying into what the Pitt's doing with Pat Narduzzi. I'm buying in. Okay. And I know he needs to stay here in order for the program to work for recruiting. But how many more bowl games is he going to lose? How many more big games that he should win is he going to lose? Disappointments. Okay. We almost lost to West Virginia on Thursday night. And if it wasn't for some luck and some bad decisions by Neil Brown, West Virginia's coach, who also, from what I'm told, is walking on eggshells down there. They want him out. This is his 4th season, and he hasn't done anything. Last year they were 6-7. Okay, I believe they went to a bowl game and lost. NC State 21, East Carolina 20. East Carolina's in that American Athletic Conference, which will be dissolved, I think, soon when the NCAA decides to go into these mega conferences. Where does that leave colleges like or universities like East Carolina and Cincinnati and some of these other ones? Where does that lead them? The South Floridas of the world. You know, these are some of the teams that were left behind by when the Big East dissolved its football program and decided to add into the ACC. All right. What happens to those teams? What happens? Do they become Division II? Do they go into some sub-conference? Will they be involved in these mega conferences? Because that's where it's going right now, everybody. That's where it's going. Okay? With college football. Might not be right away. And it all started when USC, Oklahoma, and UCLA decided to move out of the Pac-10. Okay? That's where it started, right there. Okay? What's going to happen next? Cincinnati, they tried against Arkansas. They lost to them as well. Alabama won by the skin of their chinny chin. And Steve Sarkisian, their offensive coordinator, he turned down the job at Auburn. I would. Would I want to go up against my former boss? No. Okay. All right. And then Florida State beat LSU 24-23, as I mentioned before, by 1 point. We'll see how Mike Norvell does. Brian Kelly in his debut game as LSU coach. Oh, my. Wow. We're going to find out how that goes. It's good in Cincinnati, adequate in Notre Dame. We'll see what he does in LSU. Major League Baseball. New York Yankees, Aaron Judge, his 54th home run of the season. Wow. You know, the Pirates would dream to have somebody on their team that hits 54 home runs. Dream. Dream, 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 dream. Yeah, dream. The little birdies in everybody's head at the Pittsburgh Pirate organization that thinks that they're going to win with what they have. Okay? In my closing tonight, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they have a great ballpark. They're the lowest attendance in all of Major League Baseball. And they have a below 500 team that, for once again, is 20 games behind 500 or more. Okay? It's really sad. They keep the same bums, Mitch Keller, some of these other guys. Where's Derek Sheldon going to go? One person that I know in the Pirates that's close with the Pirates tells me he's just a holdover. He's going to be another John Russell, and we're going to get a guy like Clint Hurdle in here. Really? Maybe? Who knows? Okay? The Pittsburgh Pirates. They don't beat anybody. They win a game, they lose 10, they lose 20 more. They win a game, they lose 10, they lose another 10, and another 10, and another 10. And then they'll beat the Dodgers in a 3-game series. They'll beat Milwaukee in a 3-game series. But they can't beat the Reds. They can't beat Arizona, teams below them. And now they're below them. Thanks because they can't beat them. Okay? There's no consistency with the Pittsburgh Pirates. But this weekend they had the Hall of Fame induction. The first Pittsburgh Hall of Fame Pirate class. It's great. All the superstars are on it. As I mentioned before, Pie Trainer, Bill Mazeroski, okay, Dave Parker, Willie Stargell, just to name a few, Steve Blass, Danny Murtaugh. Danny Murtaugh won 2 World Series with the Pirates. He's the only manager to do so. Okay. Roberto Clemente is the only player to ever play. He played in the 60 World Series, I believe, and he played in the 72 World Series. Okay? But he's the only player to play in 2 different venues. He played at Forbes Field, and he played at Three Rivers Stadium. It's too bad what happened to Roberto Clemente. I don't think the Pirates will ever find anybody like him ever again. The Pirates are in a sad state of affairs. We keep hearing 2024 is when they're going to be good. They sure as heck aren't lucky, and they're not good either. And tonight, that's my Ralph's rant. Appreciate everybody being here tonight on Sports Corner. I thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe on my Facebook page, or I'm sorry, my YouTube channel. And also don't forget to like me on my Facebook page as well. And you can get a hold of me through Facebook. You can watch all my archive shows on YouTube as well on my channel. And I'm also on Wimkin. I'm also on Twitch. Catch some of my shows on Twitch. All right. Monday night, 7 p.m., live on YouTube and Facebook. The way I see it, with me, Ralph Williams, every single Monday night. Next Tuesday, okay, I'm going to be on a trip. My wife and my mom and I, we are going to Sugar Creek, Ohio. My mom likes Amish stuff, so we're going to go down there and check out what the Amish are doing. Look at the nice Amish villages and enjoy a few days off. But I will be here. I will be on with Sports Corner next Tuesday at 8 o'clock from Sugar Creek, Ohio. All right. Maybe I'll have an Amish guest on with me. We'll talk about Amish sports. Oh, man, that's a good one. I like that. That's really good. I really like that a lot. But anyway, all right. But next week, that's where I'll be. Wednesdays, 7 o'clock, starting tomorrow, 7 p.m., Talking Wrestling with me and Smoking Jim Frazier, our guest, Phil Fleck from Red Zone Wrestling. They have an independent wrestling company. He's going to talk about the independent scene, and we're going to talk about WWE and AEW. And don't forget, 10:30 p.m. tomorrow night. Yeah, the Sports Web Turnbuckle Talk 10:30 show is back with Peter Blake, myself, and Mark Mancini. 10:30 live on YouTube on the Sports Web 10:30 start time. Turnbuckle Talk. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Blog Talk Radio, Wrestle Talk with me. Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim, Clayton Trudor is back this week. And Mark Mancini is our producer from Los Angeles, California, 347-205-9631. And don't forget, tomorrow night, PCTV Channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon Cable, Sports, Steel City Sports World at 6 p.m. tomorrow night with Luther Dupree, Claudia Rosano, Smoking Jim Frazier, as they are getting ready to interview none other than Dave Parker. Will be interviewed tomorrow night. Dave Parker. That's going to be a great show tomorrow night. So make sure you tune into that as well. Also on live on PCTV's Facebook page. Last but not least, Saturday Sports Smorgasbord and Buffet. We start at 5 p.m. with me, Sports Corner, myself, Smoking Jim Frazier, 6 p.m. Sports, Steel City Sports World, Luther Dupree, Claudia Rosano, Smoking Jim Frazier, and the same guys for 7 p.m. for the Boxing Authorities. Talking some great boxing. Tyson Fury making a comeback, wants to fight Anthony Joshua. They'll probably be talking about that and a whole lot more on the Boxing Authorities on PCTV Channel 21, Comcast 47, Verizon Cable. I am Ralph Williams. This has been Sports Corner. Thank you for watching. Have a great night. Be safe. I'll see you next Tuesday. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Thursday, and on Saturday, don't forget all my shows. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a great one.